Moving to file item number 33. That's AB 706. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 706 by Assemblymember Bonilla and others, an act relating to California volunteers.
Ms. Bonilla, you may open.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I present to you AB 706 for concurrence in Senate amendments, which will enhance STEM education in K-12 schools. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Bonilla. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 34 is AB 773. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 773 by Assemblymember Baker, an act relating to business and professions.
Ms. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. You all kindly voted for this bill unanimously before. The Senate changed it in committee, took the amendments out, so it's exactly the same bill you had before. I urge your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 35 is AB 808. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 808 by Assemblymember Ridley Thomas, an act relating to automotive fuels and products.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, I rise to present AB 808, which is a bill I'm quite invested and proud of. It helps develop alternative fuels and energies and make them deployable across the state, biogas, natural gas, renewable natural gas, and the like. We have technical and clarifying amendments that make sure that we don't have unnecessary regulations on growing industries. So this is a vote for concurrence in these amendments is supporting a clean energy future, and we would respectfully request an aye vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 70, noes 3. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 37, AB 931. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 931 by Assemblymember Irwin and others, an act relating to taxation to take effect immediately, tax levy.
Ms. Irwin, you may open.
Speaker and members, AB 931 will increase the eligibility time frame for veterans separated from active duty from 12 months to 36 months under the state's new hiring tax credit. Amendments are technical, and I ask for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. Mr. Breaux, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise as a principal co-author of AB 931. This is a small but significant step towards expanding benefits for our nation's heroes. It was a pleasure working with the chair of the Veterans Committee on that, and I urge your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Breaux. Seeing no additional discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 40 is AB 1031. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1031 by Assemblymember Thurmond, an act relating to public employee health benefits.
Mr. Thurmond, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1031 is back for concurrence. The Senate amendments are clarifying and technical. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Thurmond. Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 72, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members are going to pass temporarily on file item 42. Moving to file item 43, AB 1259. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1259 by Assemblymember Levine, an act relating to bees declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Levine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1259 allows beekeepers to place beehives on state wild lands. I ask for your concurrence in Senate amendments. There is no opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 67, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 44 is AB 1342. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1342 by Assemblymember Steinorth and others, and act relating to disability access.
Mr. Steinorth, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 32 enhances the role of the California Commission on Disability Access. Senate amendments reduced the cost of this bill and made a variety of clarifying changes. This bill has received unanimous bipartisan support. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Steinorth. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 68, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 45, members, AB 1519. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1519 by the Committee on Judiciary and act relating to family law.
Mr. Stone, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the Family Law Omnibus Bill is back for concurrence. Senate amendments were minor and dealt with chaptering out changes. I ask for your concurrence.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Seeing no discussion on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 70, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we're moving back to file item 42, AB 1071. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1071 by Assemblymember Atkins and others, and act relating to environmental justice.
Madam Speaker, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 1071 is back for concurrence of Senate amendments. This bill requires each board, department, and office within the California Environmental Protection Agency with enforcement authority to establish a supplemental environmental projects policy to benefit disadvantaged communities. Amendments taken in the Senate include technical and clarifying changes and ensure that Cal EPA disadvantaged communities policies consider the relationship between the location of the violation and the supplemental environmental project. 1071 has received bipartisan support and has no opposition. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote on concurrence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Seeing no discussion or debate on the item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 71, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. All right, members, we are going to stay on Senate third reading. We are going to move to file item 59. That's Senate Bill 493. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 493 by Senator Cannella and others, enact relating to elections.
Mr. Alejo, you may open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. SB 493 by Senator Cannella permits general law cities under 100,000 population to switch to district-based city elections by approving an ordinance and through an open and transparent public process. Over the last 10 years, cities utilizing at-large elections have been subject to a multitude of CVRA, California Voting Rights Act lawsuits demand that they switch to district elections. A city in this situation can either, one, submit this change for voter approval, which is expensive, slow, and not guaranteed to pass, or secondly, accept the CVRA lawsuit, which they are bound to lose, costing hundreds of thousands in legal fees. Either way, the outcome will be the same, and taxpayers will front the cost. This bill provides cities a valuable tool to avoid costly lawsuits. This bill has received bipartisan support, has no opposition. Respectfully ask for your aye vote on this important measure.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. Mr. Harper, you are recognized.
Thank you very much. This bill represents yet another in a series of attempts to try to district local municipalities, local governments, without the consent of the voters. I urge my colleagues a no vote so that the will of the people can be expressed rather than be forced down upon them by the state legislature or by a city council.
Seeing no additional, Ms. Grove, you are recognized.
With all due respect to my colleague from Orange County, this is a hard bill for a lot of us to vote on. But the bottom line is that all of our cities are getting sued because they're not participating in district-wide elections. And for the city council to have the opportunity to be able to go immediately to citywide elections without a $100,000 or multi-million-dollar lawsuit, I think we need to have our city elected officials be able to do that. Those city elected officials are elected by the public, and if the public doesn't like what the city does, then the public can unelect those people, and just like they can unelect us. And so I just think that this is a cost-saving measure for our cities, and it does allow them to be able to go into district-wide elections without the threat of a lawsuit or without dealing with a lawsuit for people in cities under 100,000 people. So I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Grove. All debate having ceased on the item, Mr. Alejo, you may close.
Thank you very much. I don't often agree with the comments of the previous speaker, but here we are in agreement. And in fact, what we're asking for in this bill is what school boards are already allowed and charter cities are already allowed to do. We're extending it to the general law cities. And again, I think there hasn't been a single city that has won a voting rights lawsuit, so this would certainly save taxpayers money and avoid a more efficient and effective process.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 57, noes 12. Measure passes. Members, we are going to take up file item 61. That's Senate Bill 272. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 272 by Senator Hertzberg and others, enact relating to public records.
Mr. Mainshine, you may open.
This bill will assist government in understanding data. The amendments we took yesterday removed the opposition to this bill. It's supported by business, labor, and good government groups, and I'd respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mainshine. See no discussion or debate on the item. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 73, noes 0. Measure passes. We're at file item 62. Senate Bill 383. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 383 by Senator Wajkowski, enact relating to civil procedure.
Mr. Bonta, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. SB 383 is the result of a productive collaboration between the plaintiff's bar, the defense bar, and the California Judges Association to improve California's demurrer process. The bill creates a mandatory meet and confer process that may be held in person or by telephone. Both parties provide specific legal authorities to support their pleading or demurrer so that the parties may come to an agreement on ways to improve their filings without a court hearing, without burdening the court. This mandatory meet and confer process is the heart of the bill and the key to improving judicial economy in courts where counsel are not cooperating with one another. When demurrer issues go to hearing, the time and expense involved may be far greater than if counsel for the parties resolve their issues amongst themselves prior to going before a judge in court. This bill also includes a sunset, so we can revisit the issue to determine if the process has indeed reduced the backlog in the courts. The bill is likely to save court resources and the time and money of the parties. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, members.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. Mr. Wagner, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of this bill. The bottom line is this. I know that a number of our business friends in the business community are taking a position in opposition to this bill, and having had the opportunity to speak at length with them, and more importantly, having had the opportunity over about 25 years in practice to bring many demurrers and even defend a few, I think the objections are somewhat overblown that we're getting from the business community. It will not cause an increase in work. I think, in fact, and attorney's fees to go with it. In fact, what I think this bill will do is cut down on the number of trips to the court and the number of pleadings that have to be written and the amount of billings that have to go out to clients. And if that proves not to be the case, as the floor manager has said, we certainly have a sunset in this where we can evaluate it later. Providing meet and confer is nothing new in the law. It's required in discovery disputes already and has been for years. So this is a practice that attorneys are very familiar with. It will, in my view, cut down on work and therefore on the cost of litigation. It will speed things up. This is a tool given to lawyers to get pleadings set faster, a tool given to judges to get their cases heard quicker, and to that extent, this is good. I urge an aye vote, and in a couple of years, if we are right, we will continue this. If it turns out the benefits that are expected don't materialize, we can revisit it and change the process. I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Mr. Cooley, you are recognized.
Colleagues, this is a good bill in the area of civil procedure. The intricacy of the rules, very important, affects the process and flow. The changes made in this bill, I think, will advantage our litigation system, access to justice generally. As noted, it has a sunset. It's a fine bill. It merits our support today.
All discussion having ceased on the item, Mr. Bonta, you may close.
Thank you to my colleagues for your thoughtful comments. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, members.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 44, noes 15. The measure passes.